What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I assume there's ladies because I get a couple thumb downs on every video, and it's probably my exes, so got us a Blazer again. So, it's been a long time since I had a Blazer. I built the yellow and white one, geez, back when the Blazer body first came out, 4 or 5 years ago, I'm guessing. And back in the beginning of the channel, I couldn't hang on to it. I had to sell stuff to keep content coming. So I got this on a trade deal, and I'm pretty happy with it, but we've got some a lot of things to do to it. And like any old square body truck, you know, it's got that cheap Mako paint job. It's got some rust showing through. You can see there's some lines. It used to be the two-tone, little rust spot. It's got some rust. You know, all the square bodies got rust. But it's going to be good for what we got. Out back, nice clean top. The top is actually super shiny. I couldn't paint shiny paint that nice. It's kind of a nice contrast. It's neat. Those tops are fiberglass, so maybe somebody did their body work right. Didn't do any on the rest of the truck, but they did that right. It's got stickers and scratches and stuff all over it, like every square body in the entire world. So I've got a decent blue interior. The dash isn't all cracked up. We've got blue bucket seats, no door panels, and my plan is I've got some ShrinkRC door panels coming. If you haven't checked those out, we put them in my C10 build, that one that I haven't finished yet. And I'm going to do them red, because every square body, I've been looking for a real square body lately, and they're, you know, they're what they are. So you're not going to find matching door panels. It seems like red trucks were the donor trucks for everything else in the world. You can see up front she's featured with the double bow tie. We got the bow tie sticker instead of a front license plate, as well as a paintbrush red one. Alright, so you can see I got a plethora of parts here. This has that weird motor drop thing where you move this plate on the R3 around and you have to cut a bunch of stuff out, flip the servo around, make a big old mess just to try to get a little weight down low. And we've got to undo all that, so instead of jacking with a used transmission, I'm going to jack with a used transmission. But it's my used, and I know it's good, it's just a little dirty. So we've got a flip kit here. This is the Tinytrucknutz, basically you flip it upside down kit. And it puts your weight down low, and then you have to take your transfer case, which I have a nice and lightly used one here, and you change the output shaft on it, flip it around, puts the outputs on the right sides, and you're golden. And it also has a new drive shaft from your transmission to your transfer case, because it will be off-centered once you flip it. This truck already has a nice drive shaft in there. We'll see if it'll work. If not, we'll use the one that was provided in the kit. Then the main thing, this has a beautiful, heavy steel transfer case crossmember, and the one in here is 3D printed, and it is crooked and it is cracked and it has been painted silver. So we're going to swap in this nice one and leave it bare metal, let it rust up accordingly. Also, this has the dash too low. The common problem with these RC4wd Blazer bodies, and when everybody converts them to a truck, the dash is like a 1/4 inch too low. It doesn't sit anywhere near the windshield. So for this, I've got the ShrinkRC Dash relocation bar. He sent me that with the door panels and stuff that we did on the C10 that we haven't finished yet. And we'll get back to that project eventually. But I have ordered some more door panels for this, like I said. And I'm thinking about doing one of his back seats. He's got a full Blazer back seat. See, that ain't no small block under there. That's a Holmes Hobbies something master something sport. That's a 45 turn. I think it's a Crawlmaster Sport. I don't know. I can't read it. Another place for opportunity, we've got the stock front hoops and a broken hood hinge. I don't know if I have any Jalon 2 hoops, but I'll give it a little bit more travel in the front once we move the motor back out of the way where it is now, because right now it bottoms out pretty quick with that motor drop. I hate those. This is the second one I've bought that had that. I just don't like it. I mean, I get the weight down low, but it's not that much lower. The motor's not the heaviest thing on the truck. The body is on this one, honestly. So yeah, we got one of the cheap 25 kilogram something Chinese servos. Good enough to do the job for now. I thought I had another 444 reef sitting around, but I don't. I only have a 500, and I don't think this truck is going to need a 500, honestly. Underneath you can see that 3D printed skid plate. It does tuck things up a little bit better than stock. I don't think that drive shaft's going to be better than our other option. an XT60 connector, some hot glue that has come off. We got metal shafts. It's a good deal. But you can tell the axles on this are not that worn. They've got a few scratches. The leaf springs feel like they've been broken in. Also, we've got the shackle hanger reversal kit on here, which is kind of cool. This is crooked. I don't know if it's what is causing that, but transfer case is sitting in there kind of that way. And this originally started life as an RTR truck, because it's got the thing there that says Z-RTR. And you can see there we've got some electrical tape, and even shrink wrap back there. So we've got a lot of connections. But we do have a billet servo horn, so that's a good thing. But I like it. I'm digging it. This is, I mean, like I said, I've been looking at real ones. This is probably the quality of one I could hope to find as a real one. It's good, solid running. Got a little rust. It's got some broken things and missing stuff here and there. It's a realistic expectation when you're buying a square body, especially one of these body style. What is that? The 74 to 73 to 81, 82, somewhere around there. Well, we don't have working lights. We had lights at one point. They're clipped all the way off in the back, but all is not lost, because now I discovered we do have a Hobbywing 1080 in here. Quick run. So that's a nice improvement. So this is why I hate the motor drop mod. Not only have you had to modify your motor plate itself, but these two cross members are just cut off. So your servo is only held on one side of the truck, which it's all aluminum, so it's still pretty stout, but just not a big fan of that. I like the full structural integrity of the truck intact. I'm losing the rock sliders. I hate those. They're plastic. They don't look good on the Blazer. Well, got some good news and some bad news. Good news, we got everything out. I've already swapped on the Jalon 2 front hoops. Good news, the shocks have no springs and they feel like they're greased, so they are very shocky, what they need to be. Bad news, oh well, we got all the broken, or the modified servo mounts out, and I found, somehow, I had a couple of these left in a box full of these kind that I've swapped out over the years. So, here's what they did. You know, they do the motor drop, changes the angle completely. You got to gut all of your cross members and it brings it down low. A lot of things I didn't like about the front end of the setup. Other than that, they had the servo just mounted straight to the arms. You need to space that up a little bit. It's got a good servo horn on it. Nice aluminum piece that sits nice and low. Other big downside, these aren't soldered. That's twist tied on there. This one had a little bit of solder, but it's twist tied and soldered together, so that's no good. Alright, got the transmission torn down, got the motor mount off. I keep saying it wrong. It's not flipping it upside down, we're flipping it to the other side. Alright, got it all figured out. Yeah, it's just a new version of the mount. This used to be on this side, had one on this side. I'm not sure what this came out of. It's got an angle to it, but you're just flipping it over. So we got the long one on this side, the short one on this side. We're going to mount our ring back at the same angle, just the opposite side. Get our spur and everything back on, and yeah. Then we'll start trying to fit it in the truck. Then we get to move on to the transfer case. Alright, just about ready to go back in. I've got everything mounted up where I think it goes. Just like the factory mounts, it's got the pin on one side, and it has to go in the rail. Might have to do a little filing down on that. This is a freshly machined part, so no biggie. We're going to take this, since we don't have any other cross members in this truck, we're going to take this front one loose. It's just plastic, so we can spread the rails apart and snap that in nice and easy. Probably don't even have to take it all the way apart. Alright, now, and alright, so we got the mounts in. Both the cross members that I replaced, the cut up ones, we flipped them upside down, or backwards. It does have a notch on this one, the back one, for the servo, so it is a little bit tight fitting in there, but servo horns on this are plastic. Didn't need to file anything out, and it's in there nice and tight. Don't use scale hardware on the servo, you're not going to see it, and you need that extra lip from the head of that button head screw. I've put in 3mm spacers, and if you can kind of see that under the servo horn is just a couple mil from the bottom of that cross member. So we've got the servo horn tucked up as nice and tight as we can. We will have to come back later and move the drag link to the other side, and it should work just fine the same length it is. Everything's just opposite the way that it came. See a little bit better there from the top. Notice everything is reversed. Got the new brackets in, flip the motor mount over, flip the front servo mounts, and we're good to go. The motor will fit in just fine. Just like stock, just opposite. Good. We get to move on to the transfer case. I'm dying to get this out of here. This 3D printed skid plate is pretty brittle. It's got some support material still stuck to it, and it is crooked. I don't know, the mount's not crooked. The mount is crooked. Transfer case is crooked on the mount. I don't know. A lot of crooked going on back there. Alright, got the transfer case, all the screws out. This is real easy. See the orientation here? All we're doing is we're going to take this gear and rod and flip it where it sticks out this side. They have a provision for that. It's one of those nicely engineered features to use later, I guess. Or for somebody in the aftermarket to use. If I can get this out. Alright, so now we've got to... Alright, see I got that cleaned up, got the bearing off. Just going to wipe some of that residue off. Slid right off nice and easy. Just going to throw that in, slide it in the opposite direction, and there's still a pretty good amount of grease in there. I was going to add some more, but it's pretty packed. It's just not the good kind of grease that I like to use. But we'll get this put back together and button it all back up. Now we've got our input on the other side, so we can flip this. Was like this, now we're going like this. Alright, next up we got the nice skid plate. I think he offers these in aluminum and steel. This is 1/4 inch steel, bare metal. We're going to leave it, let it rust. Go on like so. I've already got some Loctite on some flathead M3 hardware. Bolts on just like it does on the original truck. See, it's got flush mount inside. Definitely want to Loctite that. Alright, now we get to remove the other one from the truck. Bolt this in its place. Alright, got the 4 screws out. This thing is, yeah. So we'll remove that. Swap in the new one. Get our orientation right. I got some scale hardware already picked out. And start bolting this thing in. Well, that escalated quickly. So this piece was mounted here, and it was bent. Then it was back a little far. I didn't realize how far it was. They moved it back to clear the transfer case being raised. See, I drilled out the screw, and that's why they broke, is because they were hitting the screw for this underneath. That's why it was both back ones that are messed up. So I've drilled them all the way through now, and we're just going to run a bolt and put a nut on the top because... Alright, 25.6 hours later, got that issue resolved. Yeah, I didn't pay attention. This was mounted so far back I didn't realize that they were sharing the holes through that we use for the crossmember. Screw in the screw, snap, and bang. So yeah, now we've got those to deal with. Putting this in the proper location obviously will not work because the transfer case is higher. Moving it back here, we've got nuts sticking up in the way now, so we'll have to clearance this piece. Yeah, that sucks. I don't think I have any more of these, and if I do, I don't know where they are. Quick note, these little pieces here that are used to keep the battery from sliding off make great 4-link rods. They are threaded all the way through, and you can throw some rod ends on there and make you a nice little tight 4-link for a rat rod build. This thing has been fighting tooth and nail the whole way. Got all the drive shafts back in. I had to went ahead and cut this down because I don't need that. If we're going to use our ESC back here, I just need a spot for the receiver. I don't need all this other mess in the way. Plus, I had to clearance it for our messed up bolt holes and our nuts sticking through. And then I got it on there and it was hitting this. I wasn't going to cut this out because this is the spot for the battery. So I've put some 2mm spacers in there, put a little bit longer flathead M3 screws. Raise it up just a little. Shouldn't cause us any problems with the Blazer body. It's got cavernous space inside. So yeah, that's all in and jiving nice. Got everything Loctited real good on the drive shafts. Really hoping those springs softened up because it just feels, I mean, you can see the angles of the shackles. They're not where they need to be. Alright, got that all buttoned up, swapped in an appropriately sized M3 4mm spacer. Everything clears, fits just nice. It's a good servo horn. I haven't used one of those servos in a while. I don't remember how they were. Never really complained about them, but you know, I started getting fancy stuff. And you can see up in there, I don't know why, that's just how these come. The dash mounts about almost, that's at least a 1/4 inch below the windshield edge. And back when I did my first Blazer, I've made some spacers out of styrene and stuff. But now, ShrinkRC has this the bolt-in piece. It's 3D printed, and it moves the dash mount up right where it needs to be. So we're going to put that sucker in here and fix that ugly mess. Alright, got the interior out with the 4 different screws. Loved used rigs. So you can see, yeah, there's absolutely no room to get a driver under there. We know how much it needs to come up. It's already pre-measured out, so I'm going to pull these screws out of the back and swap it over. Somebody left their beer sitting here. And we'll see if we can get a driver in here. I've got a guy. I know a guy. We'll see if he works. Alright, I got that in. This steering wheel is not far enough away from the dash. I remember that on my other one I think I made an extension on it. Looks like I did that on the C10 too. But I'm not going to get too far into that in this video. I just want to see if he fits and looks proportionate. This is Woody from Cheers. Doesn't really look like Woody, but it's got his highlights, you know. Somebody sent me a link to this, said they fit good in these trucks. So these were on clearance on Amazon for it's like $10 and change. You know, it's fully bendable and all that jazz. So we'll see if he can hang on long enough for me to get this back bolted together. We'll see how he fits. Alright, got it all buttoned back up. Yeah, we got plenty of space in there for our battery. Our little Helios batteries don't take up a whole lot, so those spacers didn't hurt anything. Yeah, I did have to throw some more spacers. I think those were 4 or 5mm on there to kind of widen the body out a little bit because it was pulling it in a little too far still. So this body mount's bent a little bit, so I got to do some reconfiguring here. I'm surprised nobody's made better body mounts for the TF2 other than, you know, to swap other bodies and things on, but it doesn't really look like it changed any. And it's up a little bit in the front because we don't have a motor in it at the moment. I couldn't get my guy in there. He's going to have to lose some weight. His butt to head ratio is a little big. So, yeah, we'll mess with that more as we get further down the line. That's about it for this though, guys. I've still got to find a lot of things. Got to find my mirror hardware so we can replace that mirror. I've got to get all the wiring sorted out and a bunch of other stuff I've already forgot. So, yeah. But I think that's going to wrap it up, guys. I appreciate y'all watching. If you're interested in this flip kit, this transmission relocation kit, I'll put a link below to Tinytrucknutz on Instagram. And I'll put a link below also for ShrinkRC. He makes all kinds of stuff for these square bodies if you're doing a conversion to a pickup. It's definitely got the stuff to make that a lot easier. So, yeah, I'm ready to drive this thing, but you buy used rigs, everything's always used. So, we'll get it sorted out. I mean, we got good stuff. We got a good speed controller. We got a good motor. Radio's even decent. You know, we just got to get it wired up good and where it won't short out on us and cause us problems. But until next time, guys, keep it scale, and I'll see y'all in the next video.